Well, good evening, folks. I'll call the regular meeting of council, November 10th, 2024 to
November
order.
20th?
2024?
Yeah, you said November 10th.
Oh. I might have said November 10th, but I'm reading November 20th. That's November 20th, 2024. Anyway, can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I, Councillor Heislip, move to approve the agenda with the following addition. Add number 6B, presentation land for public purposes, Anderson subdivision 24-1.
I, Councillor DeCleva, second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you, council. Item 3, can I get a motion to adopt the consent section, please?
I, Councillor McKenzie, move to adopt the consent section with removal of the Upper Kingston Fire Department, moved to the business horizon.
I, Councillor Holt, will second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Any conflicts of interest this evening, council? We're good? Okay, moving on. We don't have any public inquiries or input tonight, so we'll move on to our presentation. We have Mr. Doug Prosser with us. He's going to make a presentation on a bit of a wood harvesting going on at Yoho Lake. In case we get any questions or whatnot from any of our residents, we'll have a kind of a good understanding of what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship, Dave Morrison and Council. Thank you very, very much for the invitation to like to keep you appraised of what we have on the plate and coming up. Certainly we know the, I'll call it the passionate interest the local stakeholders have with our, an attachment with our Scout Reserve, and we like to okay, no, I didn't.
Sorry, I'm counting.
Okay. And we appreciate the opportunity to make you aware of what we have planned, and if there are any questions, comments, concerns. We also do have, I had circulated in my initial submission request for the meeting some background information. What we have here is a very short version, just to you know, have something to speak to. And we just want to make sure that Mayor and Council are aware of what we are doing. We have the greatest intent to do this in the proper way with, you know, the integrity that something like this deserves. So, myself, Douglas Prosser, I represent the Yoho Management Committee. We do have I would be remiss we do have a subcommittee within our Yoho Management Committee for this specific initiative, made up of some members, some with very, very good forestry background, and some that are, you know, members of the Yoho Management Committee at large and have joined in on the discussions. Stephen Black, who many of you probably have already encountered, worked with, and he is not only our grand poobah of the Yoho Management Committee.
Official title, that's it.
And also is a member of the Scouts Canada Properties group. Ryan Smith over here is with A.B. Nakowik, and I'll describe the relationship we have with A.B. Nakowik as we go through this. And Lucas Barton with the York Sunbury Charlotte Forest Products Marketing Board that we have retained on our behalf to help us properly monitor, manage, and undertake these activities. Not sure if everybody is familiar with the marketing board structure, but that's, they're a not-for-profit, government-based organization that promote and oversee private woodlot management. The Yoho management objectives, and quite particular to the forest activities, we certainly first and foremost is education and recreation for the scouting youth. We do maintain and must preserve and enhance the natural ecology, the forest setting, and not all that unimportant is to generate revenue to support the operations. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with the infrastructure we have out there, be it the lodges and the camps and such. all of that requires, you know, resources, financial. And this is not our first foray into forest management either. So we've done other activities. On the left is where, in relation to your municipality, we exist, and the property. So you'll see that there's basically two properties totaling 640 acres for those that like to work in acres. And if you go to the next slide, we'll show where our operations are planned for 2024-25. Please note, and this we do need to emphasize quite strongly, that we are not, what you see there is not going to be a corner post clear cut. Okay, we have done through both our forest management plan that was done by UNB a couple of years ago, and up currently, we've been working at this for many a year. And so the area on the, if you want, on my side was previously harvested back in the 90s, unbeknownst to a lot of people. We knew about it, it was a legitimate harvest. The area that we are showing here is our anticipated 2024 harvest area. We've got buffers initiated primarily around the current camping sites. We do, something that I noticed when we might want to talk about a bit, is you see the little block in the bottom at the left, that's your new proposed recreation facility for the youth. So perhaps we need to modify and implement a bit of a buffer or a lower intensity harvest in that, adjacent to that. I don't know what your current plans are, but that does kind of come out to me. There are a number of recreational walking trails throughout the property, both on the lake side and in the area that we're showing. Personally, I think it's a bit of an opportunity. The majority of our formal trail system was established in the 80s, 90s with some significant federal and provincial funding. They have gone into quite a state of disrepair. Trees falling, if anybody knows this particular area, and it's partially why we're undertaking this forest management activity, is we have a fair amount of blowdown, and we want, you know, capture that. So in terms of walking trail changes and whatever, this is an opportunity for us to refresh the deck. And if you think back to the slide about the education and recreation for the youth, part of the educational aspect is the coexistence of recreational use and proper forest management. So I think there's a happy balance that we can come to in that. You know, having a trail go partially through an untouched forest and a partially harvested forest is part of the educational aspect. Next slide. So, some of the real cornerstone key aspects and we've been at this for, Stephen, 2 to 3 years?
Yes.
In our current planning. Part of that is, well, I'll just go properly down the list here. Environmental permits and operation timing. We've been very stringent in identifying not just is there a wetland and a watercourse. We have, I'll call it, everything that can be conceived of in an environmental concept. And also when the operational timing, by doing the operations in the winter, it mitigates, it eliminates any of the interference with migratory bird requirements and stuff like that. And that's a real important thing these days in forest operations. Noise, traffic, roads, communications. We are very aware that noise in the past in this area has been an issue. We are only going to operate one shift a week, a day, sorry, go through the night. Traffic, by conducting these operations in the winter, it should reduce the impact on seasonal users in the area. Roads, there are a number of road limitations, and A.V. Nakowik, our selected contractor, are very aware of the requirements and load capacities, time of year, etc., etc. And communications, we want to be fully open and transparent with anybody that wants to talk to us, whether that's directly to Scouts Canada or anybody. Mitigate impacts on property users, primarily related to our youth. By conducting the operations in winter, we have a lower level of activity out there. We have to be very careful, according to our Scouts Canada procedures, what kind of operations can be conducted while youth are present on the property at the chainsaw level. We have to abide by that, so we have to. Transparency and due diligence. So we started this process, like I said, a couple of years ago, had a couple proposals, and we internally, we thought, well, geez, just to be fully on board with whether it's this kind of a stakeholder, but also our Scouts Canada, we decided to go through a request for proposals rather than a request for tenders. We weren't concerned about who's going to pay us the most. We wanted the best. We needed to be assured that whoever we are partnered with have the same mindset that we do. And I think our request for proposal procedure was successful, and we arrived at working with A.V. Nakowik. Scouts Canada Properties, which is a formal entity in Scouts Canada. Both Stephen and I have had several meetings to get authorization to make sure everybody knows what we're doing and any requirements of Scouts Canada, insurances and such. What we're undertaking is truly a improvement harvest. We're only removing 30 to 50% removal. So that doesn't mean that big block that you saw there, we're only going to do 30, 40, or 50% of it. It is throughout that area, we're removing 30 to 50%. There will be, I'll be honest, there will be patches. One person's patch cut is one person's clear cut, or another person's clear cut. Another stream is a river. There are areas out there with dead, standing balsam fir that it makes from a forest management, it doesn't make sense to selectively harvest. So, yeah, there'll be a 5 acre, a 2 acre patch that is going to be open. And we've incorporated buffers, at least from our perspective, if we need to modify, such as your future playground, let's talk. Anyway, next slide. So our current schedule, the road, what we call the loop road, because it's something that's been in our work plans for decades, to have a new road that links up with the existing road infrastructure. So now we have a loop, and it will, from a scouting perspective, a usage, it will be an amazing asset that we hope. One of the end games from our is to, might be a little hopeful thinking, but to host things like jamborees. So the return to the area is pretty significant when you start holding events like that. We will, and Stephen and I were just looking at our calendar before I stood up here. We do want to meet with the local stakeholders, get some input, let them know what our game plan is. And where did we land a few minutes ago?
December 11th probably we're at.
We're gonna target September 11th. I'm out of here.
Lake Association.
Yeah, yeah. So we will circulate that through the best mechanism that's used through the Lake Owner Association. So the actual harvesting and trucking operations, in speaking with Joe Simpson, who couldn't be here, but Ryan's his substitute, 98% of the actual harvesting and the trucking is targeted to be January to March 2025. That goes with road restrictions, it goes with environmental concerns, etc., etc. And then a cleanup in the summer or fall of 2025. There's going to be road touch-ups and whatever, but we'd like to have all the harvesting done outside the migratory bird window, which is in May. So anyway, open to questions. I don't want to take up all your time, but we really do appreciate the opportunity, and anybody's, once we get the December 11th,
Yes.
you're most welcome to join us again.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Doug. That was a most interesting presentation. Anybody from council have any questions for Mr. Prosser?
I only have one.
Shoot.
It looks like your road that loops around goes out, you're gonna have a road right out to the 640, or you're gonna go out the Yoho Lake Road?
You want to go back to the figure? Oh, okay, there.
See, yeah, it looks there, or is that just the boundary line, or are you actually gonna put a road out right clear?
That yellow dotted line is the new road
It's a new
that we
road, yeah.
just built.
I've
So
seen
it's
I lived
substantially complete. Yeah, yeah.
I've been out, I was thinking going out in the mud the other day, but I didn't.
Yeah. So the.
My only question
ahead.
is,
Yeah.
like I've lived out there for 24 years,
Mhm.
out there, I hated the road. The last time that there was harvesting done, and it's something that can't be helped, I don't think, is because when you come out the end of your road, when the trucks come out and they turn and they go on that small section of Yoho Lake Road,
Yep.
they tore it completely up.
So that's why we want to do it,
So-
and that's AV's very cognizant of the
Yeah.
issues on load limitations.
No, it's not the load limitation, it's the fact that you come out and you make a sharp turn,
Oh.
you go down that little hill. So that's why I wondered if you're going out, right directly out of that road onto the 640, or if you're going to use that, you know, a couple hundred meters of the Yoho Lake Road. Because it's the coming out, it's the turning of the big trucks, and going down that little hill, and then turning out onto the 640, that tears that section completely up. And see, at that time, it was a decent road, it was actually a paved road. Now we've got the crappiest chip seal job you ever saw in
Are
your
you
life.
talking about this section?
This section right here.
That
Yeah,
there?
yeah, when you come out there by that gazebo, which I hope you're gonna flatten.
Oh, Herb Allen would be shaking in his boots right now if you said that.
Stephen promised me when we were gonna buy that part of the property for the lake, that if we bulldoze it, I got to drive the bulldozer. But no, see, it's not very far, and I understand your point, but it does
Yeah.
completely tear up that part of the road. And it was like that for a number of years after, and since we don't own our roads, and we can't get DTI to come and fix it, that is our only issue that I have, is it does, and it's nothing to do with the load, it's just the fact that they come out, they turn, it's a
Yeah.
sharp turn, the big trucks, and it was quite bad last time, because I had just moved there then.
Ryan, do you have any comments or
Yeah, I
ideas
mean-
or?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna do our best to time the operation, Susan, just
Yeah.
in that coldest time of the year, and then when we talk about cleanup in the spring, summer, it'll be like less than 5 loads, right? It's just whatever's left in the ditch that was
Yeah.
covered in snow. As far as like turning on the chip seal when you're coming out of the road, there's lots of room there to swing when they're coming out low.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're making a sharp turn, but they're not turning from a dead stop and doing over 90 degrees,
Yeah.
right? And it's in the winter time. Like we turned 5 floats there, right, in the last
Couple
3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have a couple hundred trailer loads come out of there, but they turn a lot easier on the asphalt than the floats do, right? So as far as chewing up the chip seal there in the winter time, I'm very confident that the road will be fine. 100%. Actually, coming out onto coming out onto the pavement going left, because all of the wood will be rooted out that Yoho Lake Road going left, right? Because Hanwell's local delivery only. So all of the wood will be rooted out and crossing Hunter, which is our strategic corridor of VTI.
Yeah, I
So,
knew that.
And then that Yoho Lake Road will have a permit to operate 55.5, nothing above that, but that'll be our.
I mean, all we do is see what happens, but it is something that, you know, need to be aware of, because that's, it did happen last time.
Yeah. We're trying to.
And
yeah,
all of our wood that we haul, right, not to our own horn, but it's all legal weight, right? We have to
Yeah.
report every load.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, 10% of them, like every single load that crosses the scales, it actually goes into a DTI report every month, right? So every load that comes out of there,
Yeah, I don't think,
Legal
I don't think the weight is the issue, I think it's just that.
no, but just to set some people's mind at ease when they see log trucks going down the road, we have to send every load, whether it's Crown, Freehold, right? So.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, oh, all you do is see what happens,
Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, right, our plan is to come in here empty,
right?
load and come back out, we're not using this loop road.
No, I don't.
Right, so,
Oh, okay, all right, see, I couldn't, from
yeah,
this
so
photo,
this
oh,
piece
that's
here
right.
is what
That's the
Doug
road,
is.
yeah, that's the road, because I Miller
To
can't
cut,
say,
right?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
this,
you know
this
what
is
I
included in your property out here, right, but this
Yes.
is the only piece
Yeah,
that we're
okay.
operating.
Yeah.
And then my
No,
5
I
cents
was
worth
mistaken.
too.
I was thinking that was the 640, I should know it, didn't look
Yeah,
enough to do
if there's a
640.
buffer here, we would like to know ASAP, right? Because the more that we can have stuff set
Yeah.
in writing, put in the folder, ready to go, we don't
Well,
miss details, right? So if there's
It's up
anything
to
to
these
do
guys,
for
if they
that.
put a buffer around, 'cause that's our property there.
I don't know what your
Our-
current plans are on
The current-
development slash clearing, opening that
The only part of
up.
that that's to be cleared within the next, hopefully, over the winter, will be this little part here. See where the pig road comes through here?
Uh-huh.
The parking lot will probably start up at this end and go down into here. So most of our development, anything we do, we will be doing nothing back here.
Oh, I see, okay.
It'll all be, right there. To build the parking lot, playground, because we wanna try and keep the pig road as a part of the trail, because it goes out to your snowmobile trail and all that. And then the same thing as we wanna, we'll be, hopefully, this part of the, what do you call that one, the forest trail? I forget what the name of that one is. It's in pretty good shape, and so we're hoping eventually to do stuff with you guys.
So you're only thinking of actually opening up the very front end
The
of
very
that?
front end by the.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Oh, yeah, no,
For now.
we'll pave it.
For now, anyway.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just,
Phase one.
yeah.
So is there any clearing that
We'll
needs to
pave
be
the parking lot back here later on.
Like, is there any wood that needs to be removed off that lot? Because like,
Yes.
when we're there, that's also a good thing we should be.
Joe was hesitant to get into that because that
Okay.
is considered land conversion,
Oh, yeah, right.
and that doesn't jive with their certification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, whatever.
No, I
That
threw
would be a
that
great
idea.
Bummer, that would've been a shame way to save some time.
I was gonna say it would've been a great idea,
It
yeah.
would,
for
but-
You guys too, because I've got it all marked off.
I think we can look into that because our certification for FSC is only on freehold land, right? So it wouldn't like apply to private right now. So that's something we could probably look into.
Okay, we can talk about that, sure, yeah. No, I marked it off, Dave and I have marked it off here ages
Yeah.
ago, and I just haven't had the chance to
No, I'm sure we
get it
can
all
look
on
into
maps
that.
that somebody could, bid on it or whatever, but, no, that'd be wonderful, because there's not a lot there, it's mostly all over mature blow down.
It's very similar to the stuff that you guys are cutting anyway, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is.
chances are, yeah, it's
Yeah.
one of the same.
Part of the same piece of property.
Well,
Any
yeah.
other questions for Doug while he's here?
I just have a quick question. So the loop road.
Yeah.
That is going, so are you gonna maintain that
That's our,
afterwards?
that
It's
is.
gonna be, so.
Well, to the level that we need for our scouting activities.
Right,
right.
but are you gonna be able, how are you gonna stop people from going in there?
We don't stop people from going.
Okay. So anybody will be able to go in there with a truck,
Unless we-
RV?
Well, unless we
Just like they
change
can
our,
now.
Okay,
unless we.
okay. No, I was just
We
curious.
are somewhat an open door policy now. I don't think I go out here once a week
Right.
on a daily, on a weekly basis. 90% of the time when I'm out there, there's somebody from the local community also out there. I don't see us.
There's no concern with like trucks or anything going in there,
Our biggest concern is
tearing it up.
tearing that up. Now, right now, we have it blocked off here and here, right? Just because it's brand new, fresh road.
Right,
To be honest,
wouldn't be-
somebody could with an ATV go beep around.
Oh, for sure.
It's an honor system. We're
but
not-
later on, they won't need to go around, it'll be left open so people can,
We haven't used the gate here, where is it? Here,
Yeah.
in 10 years.
right,
So, it's a bit of a mutual respect You know, if somebody if it becomes a maintenance issue for us, you know, over the next number of years, maybe we'll have to gate it up. I really don't wanna go into that scenario.
Well, no, I was just thinking,
Yeah.
at one point, we had a truck try to go into one of the trails back in here and got stuck, right? So that's why I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, is
Oh, yeah.
that, like, that gonna be an issue?
So far, everybody's been,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
so far, everybody has been very respectful.
Okay.
I've been out there, like I said, every week, and, you know, for a while, I was putting flagging tape across. Well, flagging tape doesn't stop many.
Well, no. But yes.
We
I understand.
understand, or we believe that everybody out there has the same respect for the property. We're open door to letting people walk and use it.
That's
So,
good to know.
Hopefully, it's a mutual.
Yes, yes, mutual respect, yes.
Yeah.
No, that's good, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're good? Okay.
We're
Taking
good.
up more than 5 minutes.
Well, thanks, Doug, for your presentation. It's good
Well,
for
thank-
us to be informed, so if we do
Yeah,
have questions, we can
and,
send them on to you.
Please do not hesitate to reach out to any of us. I think you probably have through the correspondence, emails all needed. And once again, once we get our game plan put together for December 11th, we'll certainly include you in the invite. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
appreciate it.
You guys don't have to leave. You're more than welcome to stay for the remainder of the council meeting, if you so
I'm sure
desire.
you want.
You don't want me here for the rest.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
you.
I'm gonna do a little jogging up our agenda right now, because Chief Gauss has a commitment for training later on tonight. So I'm gonna move item 7E right up onto the head of 6B. So get it up, Chief. Where we go?
Good evening. There,
I'm sure Lonnie won't mind the whole lot.
yeah. Everyone got a copy of October's run?
It's still there. There you go.
Any questions?
Everything okay with that resuscitation?
Pardon me?
Everything okay with that resuscitation? Is that the question I can ask?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as, all the equipment?
Yeah, just in terms of whether that person's okay.
Oh, on the call.
Resuscitation.
Once they leave us,
We don't.
Okay,
we don't hear anymore.
okay.
You're done.
Yeah. That's my buddy today.
Any questions for the chief? What is it?
No question.
No questions. Thanks, Chief.
Don't forget, December the 14th.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, there.
Not
Got
forget.
it. Got it marked
You
before.
won't
the-
There or be square.
I was square last year. I'm gonna be full this year.
Okay, can I get a motion to receive the fire department report, please?
Hi, Councilor McKenzie, motion to receive the fire department report.
Seconded?
Hi, Councillor Fox, second.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you. Thank you, chief. Good luck with the training tonight, I'm sure.
Thanks, Chief. Good evening.
There, on it. They're all yours.
Thanks, chief.
He says with a sigh.
He slides out as fast as he can go.
All right, so we'll move on to item 6B, which is a presentation from CRSC, which Mr. Forbes is here tonight to give us.
Alright. The last time I was here, we were basically talking about the same thing that we are tonight. It is land for public purposes for Stephen Anderson subdivision at Yoho Lake. At that time, Mr. Anderson questioned our calculation for the amount of land for public purposes, and he provided us the chart that you see on the first page, the bottom of the slide. And on that chart, he came up with $1.19 per square meter. Council asked us to look into it, and we did. So you'll see table 1 corresponds with the $1.19. Map 1 shows where those 4 properties are. and you'll note most of them front on a public street. Table 2 is the table that we originally did, and map 2 is the map showing the 3 properties that we used. They are all on the private access. So staff does not support the inclusion of the 4 properties that Mr. Anderson provided. So we looked at lot 1, that lot fronts on a public road, and it's not really comparable to a lot on the right-of-way. Lot number 2, this lot's not recorded in Service New Brunswick online assessment. There's no available records at Service New Brunswick for this property, which is why we didn't use it. When you go on Service New Brunswick, you can go in and it tells you what the properties have been sold for. This one did not have that information, so we didn't use it. Lot 3, again, fronts on a public road and it's not comparable to one on a right-of-way. And item number 4, we did not use this in our calculation because a building permit was issued in June 27th of 2022. SMB property assessment online indicates the sale date of July the 12th, 2022, and the lot description is for a house and a lot. So a house and a lot is not really comparable to their lot. So he has provided these, but we don't agree with them because they're not on the private right-of-way, they're not lots. So we would stick with the $3.65 per meter as what the prices would be. So when you go down to our table 1, the one thing that we did do and that a change was made, a day or 2 after I was here, he provided us with an updated subdivision plan that showed lot 24-5 now being the remnant. Because it's the remnant, it's the same as the original lot, we've taken that out of the equation. That reduces both the amount of land or the amount of money that would be necessary. So by taking that out, it reduces the total amount. If you went with the 363, it reduces that by $8,700 and change. Just for calculation and interest purposes, I don't have it on your table here, but if you went with the $1.19 as he has requested, the total amount of money that you would collect at an 8% rate would be $2,143.23. The total amount of money that you can collect at the 8% of the 363 rate is $6,531.24. So what are your options? You can take land up to 8% of the proposed subdivision. Those 4 lots total 22,500 square meters. The amount that you could request is 1,801 square meters to be dedicated to the rural community annual. You can do a sum of money up to 8% of the value of the properties based on similar sales at SMB Property Online Assessment, which is the amount that you see in Table 1. You can do a combination of part land, part cash, where you don't have to require any land or money for public purposes. Our recommendation, we're recommending that the Hanover Rural Community request an amount per each lot proposed as shown in Table 4 to be paid for land for public purposes. If you have any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them.
I have one question that I've never actually known, and I should know. So in any of these cases, when you're giving them a price for land for public purposes, are they expected to pay this now or when the lots are sold? Because what happens, you know, we've had in the past where people have never sold their lot, or they've gotten less for their lot, or they've done whatever. So when is it customarily that, I know what you know this, but I don't.
I think you will find that the recommendation of PRAC was that the money be paid before we sign the final plan,
Right.
or an arrangement made with Hanwell.
Mm-hmm.
So if Hanwell wants to make an arrangement directly with the developer, that they receive their money
Mm-hmm.
when each lot gets sold, we're okay. You've made an arrangement with Hanwell. If Hanwell wants all that money at once, we're okay with that as well. Our role at Capital Region Service Commission is to see that this section of your subdivision regulation is enforced. So that's how we come about the value of the land for money purposes. The alternative to doing that is to ask the client to hire a certified appraiser to appraise it, which they're essentially doing, they're paying money that they could have used to pay towards their 8%
Oh, yeah.
if we use sales in an area.
Okay, any questions for Lonnie?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You can stay if you like, you don't have to leave.
Nobody likes.
I'll be back again.
Don't worry, we'll see you again.
Tell the Frosty the Snowman.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lonnie.
In line.
Okay, so I need a motion for item 6B, please.
I, Councillor DeCleva, move that the rural community of Hanwell request up to 8% of the value of the property per each proposed lot, number 24-1, number 24-2, number 24-3, and number 24-4, which totals $6,531.24 to be paid for land for public purposes.
Seconder,
I, Councillor Holt, will second that.
any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by
No, I
saying.
have questions.
Go right ahead.
Comments. Yeah, actually, I've done up some stuff to show everybody. And as I've been saying for quite some time, I have no problem with what service commissions do. They're doing what our bylaw says. My point has always been that our bylaw is unfair. And, as of even tomorrow, we're having a meeting to change our rural plan. And one of the things that I'm going to try and I'm hoping that we're going to discuss during our rural plan is why our plan is not fair. So I did up some just examples, and it's mere coincidence they happen at Yoho, just because that seems to be where we're having most of the problems selling land. So we have the map here, that if everybody looks at this map that we got, this is the map that they've been using for this property. And it's divided off, and you'll see it's, basically a square lot. They've taken 4 lots off. It just happens to be on a private road. We're only in our bylaw, for whatever reason, the only time you pay land for public purposes is on a private road. And I've made the case before that they have no choice on this road. It's not like it's a subdivision that they're building and it's a private road and then they're going to be turned over to DTI or whatever. So they have no choice here. Now, if you were to look at this map here, which I meant to do in color and I hit the wrong button, this is a lot this is the lot across from my house, which is on a public road, which if you look at it is very, very similar. But if this were to be divided into lots, if someone was to buy this, divide this into lots, similarly to what they did on the private road, there is no land for public purposes. So to me, right there, that's not fair. Because everyone can come in, they could divide that up into 4, 5, 6, however many lots they want. Because it comes off of that private road, or public road, they don't pay land for public purposes. So if you see what I mean there. And this is the case all over, this isn't just there, this is everywhere in Hanwell. And the third one, which is this package here, where they're all stapled together. This was the lots that were sold 2 years ago, I believe it is. And they were not charged land for public purposes because they say that the lots come off of the 640, which is a technicality, really, because if you look into your package, yes, the property line butts up onto the 640, but the access to every single one of these lots is this black dotted road here, which they call the driveway. But this is the sign at the end of that road has been there ever since I've lived there for 24 years. It's the Scott Road. And some of these pictures on here are, I was out last night and took pictures of this as a road. Now, down the beginning of this, as you go down here a little bit further, there are two places that have lots, one's got a house on it, the other's got a camper on it. And they have driveways off of this road to get into their properties. So this is not a driveway, it's been the Scott Road ever since 2000 at least, and probably before that, but that's only since I've been out there. So I mean, that road's not a whole lot different than you look at, there's one here, the one with the potholes is actually this one here, with all the potholes, is actually the John Chesney Road where this lot comes off of. All these roads are essentially the same, and this is where I'm saying that we have to revisit this, luckily we're doing a rural plan, it's bad timing for these guys, because I mean, we've been trying to work on this now for almost a year, and, we're doing it now, and that's why I've been saying this for so long, that, I don't feel comfortable charging people land for public purposes, for two reasons. One is that the intent was, when we started this, I mean, I've said this many times before, was when someone was building a big subdivision and we wanted land for recreation, that in hopes of actually most of the time getting land. We've never gotten any land.
Yeah.
And if you know several years ago, when there was the property off of the Ferguson Road, in the back of all those properties, as soon as when they were going to be sold for something, the minute we said the word land for public purposes, the owner just said, forget it, I'm not developing it, and just sold each piece to the backs of the properties that are already there. So I mean, we have a community where we're trying to promote growth, and really this is pretty much just turned into a tax. I'm trying to keep it just to this particular case for tonight, but I've been approached by people in the industrial park that have issues. I've been approached by other people who are trying to build, subdivisions and keep them at a reasonable price, and all we're doing is adding to the costs. And at the same time as we're trying to find land to work with developers to have multi-unit housing or lower cost housing, we're adding a tax to all of these properties. And it's an unfair tax, because if you, like I say, if you were to build if he was to buy this lot instead of the one he did, he wouldn't even be here. He'd just be out there dividing his lots up into whatever, and away you go. So I think it's totally unfair. I understand. It's just, to me, it reminds me a lot of our code of conduct bylaw and our procedural bylaw. We made these things in the beginning when we first started, and we did the best we could with what we had, and we learned that our code of conduct was not adequate. Right now, we're learning that our rural plan, this land for public purposes, is not adequate, and it needs to be changed. And I don't think we should. It still bothers me from the other meeting when someone said, well, we should get every opportunity we can to get money from our residents. Well, no, we shouldn't. If we need money for something, we should be taxing our residents all equally and fairly, not just picking. I've driven by lots of garages and decks and whatever, and I've not seen building permits for most. We don't go around looking for those people, but yet because you have to register to subdivide your land, I think we're treating these people unfairly, especially at a time when we want to promote growth. I didn't realize it. I did take a drive out that road last night, and there was a little building there, and I wasn't sure if this was one of the houses or not, but I did talk to Sean last night, and I asked him if this little blue place, and I didn't have time to get out there tonight. But I mean, these are very modest, little small houses that he's building out there, and all we're doing is adding to his costs. And when we need some of this, and I meant to try and get out from work tonight, but I couldn't, because I just barely got here in time, or would have had a picture of what it is that he's building out there. He's not building $1 million mansions out there. He's building, actually much smaller than I thought, to tell you the truth. I thought it was a camp, and I wasn't sure if it was his or not, and he said yes, that it was. So this is my whole point, and so this is why I keep saying every time this comes up, and I know it seems that it appears, it always seems to be where, the people that I represent, but I mean, I represent everybody. And if this came up anywhere else, in Kingsclear or anywhere else in Hanwell, I would make the same argument for this, because I just believe our bylaw needs to be changed. I don't know if there's better ways of doing it, if someone is building a subdivision, whether we can negotiate with people about getting land, or we can come up with another, I'd be interested to see tomorrow night what our new planner has. But as we are right now, don't feel that we're being very fair to take land for public purpose, dig money for land for public purposes in this case.
So just as a follow-up with that, I talked to Capital Regional Service Commission yesterday with regards to our rural plan and if we possibly could be making changes to do this. And they have hired a consultant, I believe I've told you before, from Stantec, and they are meeting with us tomorrow night. So I asked them how long they figure that this is going to take. All of that background information has already been completed with the previous planner. So this gentleman, he is hoping to have as many meetings as he can between now and the new year. And he's just kind of worried about timing because everybody is busy. But they're hoping to have our plan done by February. So even if this is kind of right now and it's not good timing, there is the chance that we can change that rural plan so that this doesn't happen again. We can actually put in it that we're giving Capital Regional Service Commission even examples. Lonnie was saying so that they don't even have to come to us. They can just say, okay, this is what the bylaw is, this is what we're going to do kind of thing. So that is something that maybe not all of council is on that committee, but this part of it, maybe that is something that we should all have everybody on board at that meeting so it can be discussed. So.
Councilor McKenzie.
So two things. Number one, land for public purposes actually isn't in the rural plan, it's in the subdivision bylaw. So if there's something in the rural plan that's referencing it, those two things have to be changed at the same time to make sure they match up with each other. The other thing is that I mentioned as of the last time we revisited this property and we were talking about the land for public purposes stuff, I no longer want to see a single cent that comes from public purposes regardless of where it is. I think it should be land. Even in this case, 1,800 square meters works out to around 150 feet by 150 feet, and that's not a lot of space. But it could be something that we might have a use for at some point in the future. It's in a great spot. It's on the other side of the lake from where we're doing something right now. Even ended up just being something we put on the plot of land. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be something really small. It could be made to look pretty. Maybe not this council or the next council, but maybe somewhere down the line, it could be somewhere that can be used. It doesn't cost the owner anything to do that, and it's a very small amount of property that would be donated basically to us as part of the tax. And pretty much going forward, that until we end up having a change to subdivision bylaw, as I said in the last meeting, that's what I want to see done. So because this motion was for money, I'll be voting against it.
Any other comments?
Oh, okay.
I'm just curious as to, while I agree that the rural plan will need to be changed if we want to move forward that way, are there other municipalities that, are they doing the same thing? Private road versus public? Is that what most municipalities are doing? Or doing?
I don't know,
No.
but I can find it for you.
That would be good to know for the rural plan moving
Councilor
forward.
White?
So, like, pardon me. I mean, I don't know, but my interpretation of all of this is that the idea of this was that if somebody's building a new subdivision and they build a new road in, like if this was a new road that was coming in here and you had lots all coming off of it, then that would be where I would think we would be asking for land or a fee. This one bothers me too because even though it's a private road, it's essentially the public road that everyone uses out there. It's not like a developer has built a road into a 100-acre parcel to create things, which I think is probably the reason why this was put in place in the first place. So in this particular instance, I'll be voting against the motion.
Anybody else?
Susan's made some, I'm not familiar with the public purpose or private or whatever. she made some excellent points, okay? We do have to try to help the developers. And I wasn't aware there was a difference per se. And some don't have to pay this particular 8% and others do, just strictly be how they can access the 640 or whatever. $6,500 is a good chunk of change. It's not as much as what he originally put forward, but Councillor Fox also mentioned this is a road that everybody uses. It's not as if it's a road built in to access those particular lots. So even though I second the motion, I'm probably going to vote against it.
Any other
Because
comments?
Susan made sense.
Deputy
No.
Mayor.
Lonnie and I have discussed this, and I'm pretty sure that's why he ran away on us. Lonnie and I have discussed this at length a number of times, and I understand his point completely. Well, it's not just his point. The Regional Service Commission does need something definite from us. They need something they can enforce. And, you know, possibly what we should have done months ago, I maybe should have done all this months ago, and we could have changed our bylaw, which then would have changed, I don't know how it would have changed how they, well, I guess it would, because they're enforcing our bylaw. It's more to do with our bylaw, you are right on that, than it is the rural plan. So our bylaw will need to be changed if we, we choose to not do this again. But, I agree that we need to find something, we have to find something that works and something that they can enforce for us. Because, it makes it better for everybody.
Okay. Councillor Heisler.
I agree that we need to change, but we will be going against our own bylaw. Right?
Correct.
No,
No.
we have the option of up to,
Up to.
so 0 is up to.
Anyway, I'm gonna, for comments, I'll just relinquish my gavel to the Deputy Mayor.
Sure.
So I get an opportunity to speak. This bylaw subdivision that we have where you can take, the municipality can take either up to 8% of land or up to 8% of the value of the land. It's quite common in most municipalities in New Brunswick. And it's the main use of it is to get land for the municipality to have like green areas or public parks or whatnot within subdivisions. So what happens in some cases is if the land is either not big enough or not good enough or not accessible enough to use for public purposes, then the municipality takes value cash rather than the land. But that's the whole idea of having that bylaw written in. And I'm going to have to familiarize myself with the bylaw. I can't imagine it not being fair. I mean, it's the same bylaw that the other municipalities have. But I'm going to have to review it for my own information to see if it is unfair or if it's not. But again, we've been charging up to 8% for either in, acquiring land out of the development or value of the land, 8% of the value of the land since 2014, since we become a municipality. I think if the bylaw has to be reviewed, it should be reviewed and changed if it's unfair. But I don't think it's unfair. I can't imagine our bylaw being written unfairly. So, but again, I'm open to having better knowledge of that once I review it. But I think, again, municipalities have very little opportunities to recover any income from anywhere in the community. Again, we have taxation, we have building permits, and we have some fines or whatnot if we can enforce them. If we're taking cash rather than land, in this instance here, the land, like Councillor McKenzie said, it's a small piece of land that we may have a use for it down the road. But with the budget being as tight as it is, and money being as tight as it is, again, I think we have to take every opportunity we can. And that 8% of values is pretty commonplace, and it's usually passed on to the purchaser anyway. So it's not necessarily, hurting the developer any. All the cost of development are usually passed on to the purchaser, which includes all the cost of development and of course the profit for the developer. So this is, again, it's a fee, it's a subdivision fee, and it's a common subdivision fee. So I think we'd be, we might have to be penny foolish and pound wise, but I don't think we want to miss the opportunity right now to collect any fees that we can. Anyway, I'll retain my gavel back from Deputy Mayor and see if there's any other comments and we can move along. Councillor Heisler.
I think for me, I would be more comfortable if we could find out if this bylaw is unfair.
Yeah.
And then maybe we should table this until we find out whether or not that is unfair.
I'm certainly comfortable with that.
I can't speak to it because I made it, right?
You can speak, yes,
I'm like,
By all means.
Oh, no, you
I
want
want
to do it to
to-
make a discussion possible.
what?
When you make a motion, that just makes a discussion possible.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
puts it
yeah,
on the
yeah.
table
No, she
for-
was shaking her, I was like, oh, maybe I'm
No, I wanted to say something.
Councillor Novak?
Well, I was just gonna say, and maybe it's not that the bylaw is horrible, like, maybe it's just that we evolved. Like at the time when it was made, maybe it had good intentions, though, like, things have just changed. It doesn't necessarily, it's just not serving us anymore, right? Like, maybe it's not, the whole land thing is great, but maybe it's just not working out anymore, because we are trying to bring people to the community and figure out where we can get green space that's usable, but it doesn't make sense to have green space in every little corner, in my opinion. I know that any little piece of land is helpful, but.
But that's why you have the choice.
Yeah,
If the land is not desirable, then you can take 8% of the value.
But I guess like if the point was the land, I don't really care about the money piece. I mean, money is nice, don't get me wrong, but if the whole point was to get green space for recreation, I don't see the point of taking the money if the land's not there. I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. Deputy
Well,
Mayor
no,
Jonah?
like I say, the intent was, because when we first, became a community, we were looking for small places for parks. And we realized that all the subdivisions around here, the existing subdivisions, all the lots were sold. And so the intent was to try and find a way that wouldn't happen again. So if someone were building another big subdivision like this, we would be able to have the opportunity to get some land. And whoever our advisor was at the time suggested, well, if you don't want the land, and the bad part about, in a case like this, with a small place like this, if you take a piece off of some of these lots, it may make them too small to be developed. And it may run into the same problem that we had on the Ferguson Road, where there could have been a development in the back of there that just, because we wanted land, they just said, no, we're just not doing that, we're not paying you money, we're just not gonna develop. And that is that's the chance you take when you do these sort of things. And yes, there are a lot of communities that do, and even in this region, who do take the land for public purposes, and there are a lot who don't. And what, to me, the most unfair thing of this is on a place like this, where you will run into probably in Kingsclear and other places too, it just hasn't hit us yet, where these roads, these people have no choice. This is, we are not gonna upgrade that road to make it public. They're not gonna upgrade it to make it public, but it is, like I say, as Councillor Fox said, this is the road that they use. This is their main road to get in and out. It's just a matter of, we don't maintain it. And so it makes it totally unfair that, you could develop something on, and then actually the most, not that I'm saying anything bad about the people who developed over on those other lots, but that was a developer. Those lots went for $200,000 a piece, and we did not take a cent of land, of money, land, or anything from those. And because we were, advised not to, but I mean, in reality, and technically, yes, they touched the 640, but in reality, they're all, you went off that other road. So, I mean, it's, to me, that's fairly, and like I say, we're at a point where we want to grow and we want to encourage development, and, it may $6,800 may not be a lot to us, but it might make the difference between somebody buying those lots or not. And if they were a little bit more expensive lots on another road, it's already happened that we'll be, like you say, we're getting all the building permits from those, we're getting, and the same problem I've heard complaints from people in the industrial park, where there are very big, expensive lots, and there are very big tax bases, and I know that there's, because they have not run into this land for public purposes, and we obviously don't want to build, we may want to build some park in the industrial park, or field, or something like that. But I mean, we have to be a little bit careful about biting our nose off to spite our face for, a few dollars here and there. And like you say, in a bigger, more expensive lot, then, we could be not getting the tax money from any of these things.
Councillor McKenzie?
So just from, hopefully my final comment on this, is I fully support what she's saying, and that's why I don't support the money aspect of it. It's just driving developers. It's another reason for developers not to do things. But the amount of land, it's 8%, it is somewhat insignificant, but at the same time reasonable. Just for the sake of comparison, I did the numbers rough in my head, it's like 150, 160 feet by 150, 160 feet. For reference, if that seems small, the community center building in there, that room, is 40 by 40. So it's roughly 4 of those long by 4 of those wide, or 1 of those on each plot. That's, might not be something we could directly use now, maybe somewhere down the road we would be able to do something with it.
But what if it makes the lot too small for it to be usable?
8% of the 6,500 square meters?
Oh, right, in these ones here, yes, but I mean, if you have somebody dividing off 1 acre lots, you're gonna take 8% of them.
We'll discuss that at the time.
You're not
if
gonna
something
take
comes up.
8% of the particular lot, you're gonna take 8% of the land overall. So if somebody develops something into, say, a 10
I
acre
know,
plot.
well, I understand that, yes.
They wouldn't take it off each lot, they'll take it all together, so the subdivision might be 1 lot short.
That's irrelevant and speculative at the moment anyway. The only thing
Exactly,
that's on
the
the
whole
floor
thing
right now is this lot right now is being subdivided. And that's why I think that we should take the land for it, and I don't support the motion as written.
Our CAO might have some advice for this.
So you guys are talking about tabling this. Capital Regional Service Commission sent this to us this afternoon, which I had told them that it was too late to put on this agenda package. And they asked if it could because the developer wanted an answer or whatever. So he said he didn't know if he is ready to sell like right now and has something waiting, but we brought this forward last meeting, we've kept it for a month, and then if we do it again, now saying that we are going to probably have a special meeting of council coming up because of budget or whatever, so we could bring it forward to that, but are we going to put him on hold for another 2 weeks if he possibly has a sale for
I would rather
these
not.
properties?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what he's got going on, but I do know he just wants this settled.
He can't do anything with this until this is approved. It can't be approved until we make a decision.
We gotta make it.
So
So,
let's shut down comments on it, and we got the motions on the table, so I'll call for the question. So all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising their hand, or saying aye. All those contrary minded?
Nay.
Okay, motion's been defeated.
With that motion defeated, Councillor McKenzie, would like to move the rural community plan will request 8% of the value of the 8% of the property for each proposed lot, 24-1, 24-2, 24-3, 24-4, which totals 1,801 square meters for land for public purposes.
Do you have a seconder? Well, with no seconder, your motion will die. Okay, moving on to business arising from the consent section.
I just have one question. Do we have to make a motion then to take 0?
To what?
Do we have to make a motion then to take 0% of the land?
Yeah, I think we
Or
would.
0% money?
it's just
I thought we just
defeated.
defeated that
It's
motion.
defeated.
It was defeated to pay
We're
8%?
not, we're not taking the 8%.
Okay.
That was the motion that was on the table.
Yeah, but I think it's basically an open-ended problem now.
Yeah,
That's the
so I
thing,
think
right?
then we need to make a motion to take 0%. Would we not? I mean, if we don't have to, that's fine.
That's effectively what we're taking, we're not taking 8%.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's nothing in writing to do it, really, is the problem. Maybe we should ask Lonnie or ask
Or
her.
just, if that's what you want, just make a motion
I'll just
for
make a
0.
motion. I'll just make a motion.
Just to cover their bases.
Yes,
yeah, why not?
exactly. Therefore, I move that we'll take 0%, whatever the lot is. I don't know.
24-1, 24.
0% of cash value.
0% of the cash value. Yes.
Seconder?
I, Councillor Holt, will second.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded?
Nay.
Motion carried. Okay, moving on to business arising, we're looking at, I think we already got the fire report. Okay, so we're in 7A, which is rescinding the motion 08-1024, bylaw 19-2019, a bylaw related to tourism accommodation levy in the rural community of Hanwell. So I need a motion.
I,
7A.
Councillor Holt, move to rescind motion number 08-10-2024.
I, Deputy Mayor Jonah,
No.
Is that
So
resolution?
there's two whereases in
We got
there.
highlighted.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Whereas, at the October 16th regular meeting of council, a motion was made to the tourism accommodation levy bylaw for the third reading by title in its summary and enacted. And as whereas it was noticed by staff the next day that the second reading had not yet been done, I, Councillor Holt, move to rescind motion number 08-10-2024.
Do I have a second?
Deputy Mayor Joe Mills, second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried, thank you. Now, item B.
Councillor, move that amendment to bylaw number 19-2019, a bylaw relating to the
Tourism Combination.
No, I'm just taking a look at the number, okay, number 19-2019.
Yeah, that's when we did it originally.
A bylaw relating to tourism accommodation levy in the rural community of Hanwell be given its second reading by title.
I, Councillor DeCleva, second.
So I need the name of the bylaw.
Vote first.
Oh,
After it's been seconded.
any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried, thank you.
Now read it. Read it.
Bylaw number 19-2019, a bylaw relating to the tourism accommodation levy in the rural community of Hanwell.
Thank you. Item C, amendment to bylaw 19-2019.
I, Councillor Mackenzie, move that amendment to bylaw number 19-2019, a bylaw relating to the tourism accommodation levy in the rural community of Hanwell be given its third reading by title, in summary, and enacted.
I, Councillor Holt, second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried, thank you.
Bylaw number 19-2019, a bylaw relating to tourism accommodation levy in the rural community of Hanwell, pursuant to subsection 10.2A of the Local Governance Act, SNB 2017 C18, amendments thereto and regulations adopted thereunder, the Council of the Rural Community of Hanwell hereby enacts as follows, by summary. 2. Definitions. 3. Application of levy. 4. Exemptions. 8. Use of funds. 9. Inspection, audit, and assessment. And 10. Enactment. This bylaw shall come into effect on the day enacted therefrom. Bylaw number 19-2019, a bylaw relating to the tourism accommodation levy in the rural community of Hanwell.
Motion.
That's it?
That's it.
We're done. Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
We vote.
You
You
do.
voted already, he's just reading it again.
You just read the summary.
We're having one of those moments, you know.
Yes.
Have them all the time.
Okay, item D, bylaw 35-2024, a bylaw respecting animal control.
I, Councillor Fox, move that bylaw 35-2024, bylaw respecting animal control, be given its second reading by title.
Seconder?
I, Councillor Holt, second.
Somebody want to read that bylaw?
Oh, you have to
You have to
vote
vote
first.
first.
Oh, sorry. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
Bylaw 35-2024, a bylaw respecting animal control.
Okay, and we've already seen the fire department, so we're moving on to item F.
Nope.
No, sorry. Item 8, new business, Christmas closure. So there's been some talk about the when to close the office this year. If everybody's in favor of doing so, I'll request that this motion be read.
So there's two motions there, Council. In past years, we've always closed on the Friday before Christmas. So I've just given you the motion to close the office on Friday, December the 20th, or if you want to go Monday, December 23rd. And we would be opening back up on January the 2nd after New Year's. So staff covers all of that as vacation time and time in lieu.
Councilor McKenzie moved that approval be given to the CAO to close the municipal office from Friday, December 20th, 2024, and resume opening on January 2nd, 2025. Staff will be required to use vacation or lieu time for this closure.
Seconder.
I, Councillor Holt, will second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Need a motion for approval of unused vacation?
Councillor DeCleva moved to permit staff to carry over any unused vacation days on condition they be used before April 1st, 2025.
Seconder.
Deputy Mayor Jonah, second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you, council. Item C, Handle Days Committee. Need a motion?
I, Councillor Highsmith, move to strike the Hamel Days Committee and have Mayor Dave Morrison as chair and the rest of council as members of the committee.
Seconder.
I, Councillor Holt, will second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. There's no proclamations. Upcoming activities is the Christmas Craft Fair, November 30th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
December 1st. Christmas tree.
Okay, Christmas tree lighting at 6 p.m. with a Santa meet and greet to follow. And the Santa meet is registration only, and that's on December the 1st. And item C, Santa comes to Upper Kingsclear, Handle Fire Station 1, Mazaral Settlement Road, December 18th at 7 p.m. Now I need a motion to go into closed session, please.
I, Councillor Holt, move to go into closed session.
Seconder.
I, Councillor Fox, second.
All those, any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are now in closed session. Okay, can I have a motion to come out of closed session, please?
Councillor DeCleva moved to come out of closed session and go back into open session.
I, Councilor McKenzie, second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We are now in open session. I need a motion, please.
I, Councillor Holt, move to authorize and direct the CAO to investigate the potential acquisition of property within the Hanwell area.
I, Councilor McKenzie, second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you, council. Okay. I think that pretty well wraps up our council meeting for tonight. Find what I'm looking for. Okay, so the date and time, location of the next meeting is here at Council Chambers on December the 18th, 2024, 7 p.m. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
I, Councillor Holt, motion to adjourn.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned. Thank you very much.